If you're relying on Instagram to get your clients, 2026 is going to be just a very different playing field, and Instagram is going to reward a very different behavior if you're optimizing for sales. So let's talk about it. My name is Daria. I'm a personal branding coach and I own a content creation agency here in Vancouver called The Sell Well. I work with service providers, founders, entrepreneurs, and content creators to help them build a profitable personal brand on Instagram when they don't have 10,000 followers, so they can get more clients, more sales, and enjoy their content creation journey. In this video, I want to talk about 2026 trends and predictions. However, they're going to be mostly focused on sales. So if you're a service provider or a coach, this one is for you. Before we dive into what's out and what's in for 2026, let's actually think about how the algorithm is changing and how the entire social media world also going to be changing and optimized. It's becoming less and less relevant how many followers that you have. In terms of the amount of followers is not going to guarantee a certain number of views like we've seen it before in 2023 or 2024. You can have million followers on Instagram, but it's not guarantee high engagement or high views. We are definitely seeing a very big increase in the attention that a smaller creator get versus somebody on a bigger site. So your followers is gonna be less and less relevant. If you're a smaller creator, that's a very good thing for you because now it's an equal playing field for everybody. However, keep in mind that it's becoming way more crowded. What it means is if everybody has an equal rights for your eyeballs, everybody is competing for your eyeballs in particular. In my opinion, for 2026, we want to make sure that we're not optimizing as much for width of your content as much as we're optimizing for depth. And what I mean by that, width of content is how many people your content is actually reaching. And that's what I call a top of the funnel content. It's any trendy content, entertainment content, relatable content, anything people can easily reshare, easily save. I'm sending a bunch of reel to my sister saying like, oh my God, this is so you, or oh my God, this is so me. So that's width of the content. This is a content that can very easily reach a larger amount of people. But what I think is gonna be the biggest game changer for everybody who is selling on social media is the depth of our content, is what kind of conversations we are having with the community that we already have. In my opinion, it's probably gonna get harder to gain new followers simply because people do not want to follow a lot of new people who are just posting all of the same trends, all of the same content, but we will want to follow somebody who stands out from the crowd and who has the conversations that we want to have. In my opinion, optimizing for depth of your content and building authority and building trust, building this emotional connection and relatability will be the biggest differentiator if you will make money on social media or not. So let's talk about what, in my opinion, is out for 2026. First one is lack of context. If you're just assuming that, well, it's already so clear that this is what I do, this is already so straightforward that this is the type of clients that I'm serving, I'm just gonna be using this reel for and everybody is already using this reel. Again, you're posting for the width of the content. That's not gonna cut it anymore because whenever we are landing on somebody's social media account, we wanna very clearly understand who the person is, what is their journey, why is it something important for them, and we wanna have this immediate connection with them right away. Think about it this way. If somebody reached out to you and I would love to go grab coffee together, and they seem friendly, they seem super nice, and you're like, okay, yeah, awesome, let's go grab coffee. So you go to your local coffee shop, you guys grab matcha, oat latte, whatever it is, sit down and you chat. And if the person is having with you extremely shallow conversations and they're just talking about what everybody's talking about, there is no newness in a conversation, you're not enjoying this conversation, you're not learning anything more about this person, you're probably gonna leave. Or if you're very nice like me and you're a people pleaser, you're probably not gonna leave, but you're definitely not gonna be inviting this person over for coffee again. This is kind of the approach that we will be finding more and more in 2026, that if everybody's looks exactly the same, how are we gonna be building this connection? So lack of context and lack of understanding on your story is just out for 2026. Second thing that I think is going to happen is measuring your success by likes. We are, as humanity, we are liking stuff less and less. I don't know when was the last time you scrolled through social media and you're like, I'm just gonna be liking every single video that I see. You probably haven't done it in a while, because I know I haven't. Our biggest indicator that your content works is actually what are the people that you reach. When we are seeing that people have seen your content, they might not engage with it right away, but they will remember. They will know that, oh my God, yes, that was important for me. And like, you cannot believe the amount of conversation where I shared something about on social, it performed not as well as I hope. I would get all like sad, disappointed as one typically get when they align their own values with whatever performance on social media they have. And I would have a conversation with somebody on a networking event and they would be referencing a story that I shared 3 weeks ago, but they didn't engage with it, they didn't like it, they didn't interact with it, but people still remember. So do not, and I'm also saying it for myself, do not measure your success by the amount of engagement that you got on your social media, because in 2026, it's not gonna be the biggest performance indicators. And you also never know what's done, who sees your content and what's happening in their mind once they see it, because they're probably engaging with it way more than you ever give yourself credit for. And the third thing that we're living in 2025 is educational content for the sake of educational content. It just doesn't work. We can very easily get educated from ChatGPT, extremely easily. And everybody at this point on is sharing pretty much the same information. What I'm sharing with you right now, you probably could have ChatGPT'd as well, like if I'm being honest. But hearing it coming from me rather than ChatGPT is probably a little bit, I hope so, more credible, simply because I have built something on my social media. I have clients, I have businesses. I don't know, like you were one of my previous clients, one of my previous students, so like you know how I work, and you have some kind of trust and authority with me to know, like, okay, well, if Daria is saying that, then it must be true, right? Do not educate people for the sake of educating. First of all, they will never convert as a client, because the only content that actually converts is authority content. So I feel like we're gonna be living in 2025 educational content just overall, but what will happen instead is using very heavily storytelling. I can be sharing with you the same information, but if I'm using my story to share that piece of information, you're like, oh yeah, that works. This information lands. So we won't be educating people as much in 2026, but building authority and credibility, that's gonna be a big yes for you to get clients. Which brings us to what is in for 2026. First one, authority content. Authority content is going to be your biggest revenue generator, is going to be the biggest thing that brings you clients and sales, because authority content builds trust. And when people trust us, they buy from us. And when I say authority content, is just you sharing different stories, again, using storytelling, how you have solved different problems for your clients, how you took your client from point A to point B, and why was it important when you just started running your business, how you didn't know all of this thing, and then you figure it out and now you know them. So like whatever it is that you need to build authority and credibility to your knowledge and to your experience, this is what is gonna be paying your invoices. Second in for 2026 is eyeballs is gonna be the biggest KPI, as we kind of probably already understood from all the outs in 2026. But the reach that you have with your content is gonna be way more important than the number of likes or comments that you got on a piece of content that you shared. People see your content, they really, really do. We just don't engage overall as much, which in my opinion is a good thing, because your sales are going to be happening in your DMs mostly, which is the third in for 2026. People are not going to be buying like right when they see you post a link in bio, or when you shared about your offer once and they're like, oh my God, yes, take my money. We first need to make sure that we have enough authority and trust and credibility built with you, and then we can buy. But the way that we will be buying is over DMs. And I personally, I'm very excited about it, because it allows me to nurture these connections one-on-one, send my leads a voice note. Voice notes work so well. If you haven't done that yet, make sure that you do. You can have this conversation and like personalize service in the way that you best can. You also get this like extremely direct conversation with your audience and be like, So this is what you need. This is the problems that you have right now. Direct people to a discovery call if it's part of your sales process, where you can have an even bigger and deeper conversation. So I'm personally very excited about being able to sell more on DMs rather than just comments, because it gives me a direct conversational access to my potential lead, and I know that I can convert them very well from that. And from a content strategy perspective, what it means that your goal with your stories, with your reels, with your carousel posts is not for them to convert right away, but to build trust and authority throughout the content. And of course, we want to make sure that we also prioritize content that gets views and grows our community. If this is something that's important, then of course, you absolutely need to prioritize it as well. But our goal with our stories and our content is not to direct sell right away. We want to make sure that we are building trust with our content, so then we can convert them into clients in our DMs, which I think is just brilliant. And it's like its own mini little funnel in itself, and it's so fun. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So excited. And with that being said, storytelling is also going to be one of the biggest in for 2026, because it's kind of the bridge between your personality, your authority content. That beautiful bridge just builds trust, because we are not just sharing tips, we are sharing a story of how we are building your business. And when you're sharing story of how you're building your business, it naturally positions you as a main character in your journey. And we as human beings always love supporting main characters, especially underdogs. And we want to root for them, we want to talk about them, we want to share about them. This is in our nature to support them. And if you can position and like share the story of you being the main character of your own journey, and you have your own goals, you're running from point A to point B, and then you are overcoming multiple different obstacles and challenges, you are seeing the incredible results that you're seeing, you're doing the cool things that you're doing. This is exactly how you're not just able to build authority, but also this emotional connection with your community that makes this level of trust so much easier and so much deeper. So kind of the way how you can think about it, it's not just saying, oh, I help my clients get results, but you actually sharing and walking us through the process, how you've gone from point A to point B with your client, what was the obstacle, what was the struggle, what was the challenge. Like, take us on a journey with you. And please share the behind the scenes of your own business for us to see what it's like to run the business that you're running right now. Because again, this is exactly how we are building trust and authority. And when people trust us, they buy from us, and we want people to buy from us in 2026. So here is kind of like a to-do list / action plan that I need you to follow to make sure that you're fully ready to go for 2026 Instagram. First, review your content strategy and make sure that you have content that positions you as authority in your niche. Show people that you know what you're doing. Second, share results, yours and your clients, and tell us how it was achieved. Be more direct with your offers, but also do not expect people to convert right away, like right after you share the link once. Have and nurture these conversations in your DMs, and make sure that you optimize your carousel, your stories, your reels to drive people in your DMs, and then having a sales conversation there. And focus on reach more than you're focusing on likes, because likes are going to be less and less relevant as a KPI moving forward, simply because we don't like anything anymore. Let me know in the comments which 2026 trend you're most excited about, because I'm just excited for all of them. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure that you subscribe for more videos on personal branding, how to sell on Instagram, and how to get more clients without having 10,000 followers.